Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. It is also known as ECMO device. And to start with the introduction, it is a form of extracorporeal life support where the external artificial circuit carries a venous blood from a patient to a gas exchange device that is known as oxygenator, where the blood comes and enriched with the oxygen and which remove the carbon dioxide, and the same blood which is enriched with the oxygen is come back to the patient with by central, either with the central vein or in the artery. To start with the history, this first membrane oxygenator was developed in a lab in 1950, and it was successfully applied on patient with the respiratory failure in 1971. And since that, the means continuously using the membrane oxygenator in cases of respiratory failure. Initially, it was used in the pediatric cases, especially with the ARDS, pneumonia, and in congenital heart disease cases. First neonatal case was this membrane oxygenator was used in neonates. Her name was Esperanza in 1975. Then after 1975, the use on pediatric cases that has been increased continuously, especially in cases of ARDS and pneumonia. It was also found that overall survival has been increased after using membrane oxygenator, but there are certain guidelines which we need to follow when we used ECMO and so on. And after in 2000, the adult after following the guidelines, the adult membrane oxygenator has been used. After there is a trial was called Caesar trial, and after Caesar trial, it is shown that the mortality in cases of ARDS has been significantly improved, especially in cases of um, after applying ECMO. So these practices in the adult cases has been increased after 2009. And so the photo showing the ECMO patient first case, which was large device having separate oxygenator, large tubings, and is and pressure monitoring devices. The first used in 1971, and this was the first neutral case ECMO survivor. This was used in patient with the pneumonia with severe ARDS, and which was survived in 1971. Initially, it was the large circuits have separate oxygenator, tubings, and monitoring device, pressure device, and then its size becomes reduced when we are able to understand how these are functional. So this second picture showing in the left side is the ECMO device. Now we have portable ECMO device. Initially, it was a separate room where the ECMO was performed, which is exactly function on the like a cardiac bypass. Now we have portable ECMO machine where we have pump, and we will tell you what are the principle and the parts of the ECMO. Principle of ECMO is to use in patient the desaturated when we are not able to possible to oxygenate the patient. So desaturated blood is drained via venous cannula, and then we remove this carbon dioxide and add oxygen through the extracorporeal membranous device that is known as oxygenator, and same that oxygenated blood has been returned to the systemic circulation. And most commonly used ECMO is VV ECMO, that is veno-venous ECMO, and this and second most commonly used is arteriovenous, or veno-arterial ECMO, exactly, where the blood has been drained from a venous channel and again drained to the artery. If again drained to the vein, it's known as veno-venous oxygenator ECMO. This is showing the main mechanism of ECMO, where we use oxygen in a separate port and air in a separate port. So these and in between there is a blender. So whatever amount of FiO2 you required, so you can blend according to that. If you require 90% FiO2, 100% FiO2, 60% FiO2, so you can titrate according to that in blender. And once the oxygen mixed, means a particular amount of FiO2 that will mix with the oxygen. There is a membrane in between which separate from gas from blood, and there is a membrane oxygenator. It's a matter of different forms which allow the gases exchange between blood and gases, means oxygen exchange between gas and blood. which oxygenate the blood and again return back to the circuit. ECMO is not a definitive treatment for any patient. It's a bridging therapy when the heart, lung, or any other things that we are thinking like that is curable. So meanwhile, we can ECMO can be used as a bridging therapy when we are allowed to recover the lung or heart. So buying time when patient is recovering, especially in case of ARDS or severe pneumonia, and when patient is not able to oxygenate blood to whatever is required, and when the patient is like patient is required immediate sometimes post CPR when the heart is not functioning, or required more oxygenation as lung is not able to maintain. In cases of transplant, when the heart is not functional, then so ECMO can give us time to stabilize the patient. So these are a few components of the ECMO circuit. Main the blood pump. You can see the blood pump means here. This is the blood pump. The blood is coming from this is the cannulas. Cannulas they means they inserted either in cases of venovenous they should be inserted in the venous channel, great central venous. If arterial, it should be inserted in the artery. If it is again venous. Input, then we can insert into the venous. So veno-venous or arteriovenous, the blood is coming through this tube and goes to pump. This is known as blood pump, and they have two circuits here: the IV fluid or heparinized. So blood should be heparinized before it's entered in the pump, because there is a clotting may occur and immediately inside the pump or when it goes to membrane oxygenator. So membrane oxygenator may easily get clogged, so blood should be heparinized. So once it pump, this is a pump and the pumping blood into the membrane oxygenator, which is with the high flow. And here is a green color is the oxygen means oxygen and Romier gases blender. So this is a gas blender where we can set FiO2 according to requirement of the patient. And this membrane oxygenation is also called as artificial lung, which insert the high flow oxygen and this encircle around the blood, and this oxygenated blood go into the tubings where there is small that heat exchanger, so you can optimize the temperature of the blood which is required for the body, and then return back to the body. So we have the blood pump, membrane oxygenator, heat exchanger, and there is a controller where you can control if you're thinking that blood is not properly oxygenated. So there is a connector in between. You can control blood going to the body again or again recirculate into the pump. So you can control here with the controller. So this is the thing I've explained. This is a real-time ECMO machine. So we have tubings, monitor heart lung, in this artificial lung here, and usually they are directly connected with the electricity, and we should have battery backup in case RT suddenly shut down of electricity. And the blood is coming from the body, it's going to the pump, and from the pump it's going to the artificial lung, or you can call it membrane oxygenator. From membrane oxygenator to the tubings, it's going to the body via heat exchanger to optimize the blood. Membrane oxygenator, there are different types of membrane oxygenator. There we exchange the gases like oxygen, enrich the oxygen to blood and remove the carbon dioxide. So silicone membrane oxygenator was used previously where the polymethylene paintings they made of off and allow the gases exchange from the blood. So in the central there is a gas flow, and in the periphery there is a blood. So blood means gas exchanges from central to the periphery. So there are a lot of factors that allow us to push oxygen back and CO2 from blood to come into the through the oxygen. And so oxygen exchange depends on the type of membrane that is used, and the diffusion characteristic of the membrane thickness of the blood means the amount of blood that this thickness in the blood phase also depends on how much oxygen we that exchanging from the gas to more. If it is more thickness of gases, then and more thin blood supply, then more oxygen blood will oxygenate more rapidly and efficiently. So FiO2, whatever we supplying, and rate of blood flow and gas flow. So both depends increase the oxygenation in the blood, and the exchange of CO2 depends on difference in CO2 concentration between gas and blood, and size of membrane, and fresh gas flows in the chamber, and thickness of blood, of course, and the blood flow. Heat exchanger, they usually you can optimize the temperature of the blood before it goes to the to the body. Especially is very useful in cases of pediatric patient, because temperature is very important in the uh, easily altered in the pediatric age group. Control panel, we can control the pressure of the blood flow going to the pump by a pump, or it's sometimes it's in cases of arterial ECMO, so where the pressure is itself is created by the body. So we get directly correlation of artery, and otherwise it's created by the rota flow, that is that flow created by pump. So you can control the blood means the pressure in the tubings to oxygenate the blood. So ECMO cannulas, the ECMO cannula, that they're arterial cannulas or maybe venous cannulas. The cannulas they use always use in a central vein, like either in the subclavian or internal carotid, internal jugular or femoral vein, or arterial cannulas, they are usually not used because the most frequently used is ECMO is veno-venous or veno-arterial. Sometimes so peripheral, means peripheral arteries like femoral arteries or brachial arteries can be used. Aortic aortic cannula, they are rarely used in cases of bypass surgery when or heart lung transplant cases. This is the most commonly used dual lumen cannula. So it contains it's a single tube. It contains the holes. Means it take blood from both IVC and SVC. So there is a perforators present at the this side, means at the end and at the upper part. So take blood from the SVC and IVC, and after oxygenation, the blood, fresh blood, means oxygenated blood is coming. There is a hole directly pumping the means pushing blood into the right atrium. So right to the right atrium goes to the pulmonary circulation. So in this it's showing here. So this is the most commonly used dual lumen cannula in with this either in subclavian or in internal jugular uh, vein. So T-wings, they are either regular or heparinized. Heparinized, if they are not, if they are regular, then we have to use heparin in the solution. Otherwise, they are sometimes they are coated with the heparin, so prevent the clotting. The type of ECMO that I told you, that veno-venous ECMO or veno-arterial, or sometimes arterio-arterial ECMO. Veno-venous arterial is most frequently used in patients with the support with severe respiratory failure refractory to the conventional therapy, and we are not able to oxygenate blood by the conventional ventilators. So we have to cannulate either the internal jugular vein or femoral vein, and the blood is going from vein and going again back to the central vein. Either it may be femoral, or it may be jugular, or it may be femoral jugular kind of veno-venous ECMO. And second is veno-arterial. It's used in severe cardiac failure when the heart is not able to pump. So we have to push blood in arterial circulation when the heart is not functional. So we have to take blood from central vein and reverse back to the central arteries, like in case of aorta. So that is known as veno-arterial ECMO. And when heart is not properly functioning, means and but pumping system, quality of heart pumping is enough. So then we connect the means inflow, outflow from the artery and going back to the artery, that is known as arterious, or if it is taking from the artery going back to the venous, it's known as arteriovenous ECMO. So arteriovenous ECMO is the third most commonly performed ECMO, but rarely used when pump is not there. When means we can directly connect the inflow and the flow of this cardiac pump pressure directly pushing the blood to the oxygenator is going back to the body. So here the only CO2 removal circuit is there and nothing is there. Means there is no pump, and so we connected the kindly from the like we connected the aorta, and the flow like 120 mg directly going to the membrane oxygenator, and this blood means oxygenated from the membrane oxygenator, remove the CO2 and coming back to the patient body without pump. So that is known as arteriovenous pumping. Yeah, this is the diagram showing means veno-arterial, veno-venous or arteriovenous circuit. Veno-venous circuit, as I told you, means this is most commonly performed. There are four types, either maybe femoral or high flow with the large venous canal they used, femoral jugular, or I told you that double lumen single cannula that is inserted in the internal jugular, and as one taking the blood from IVC, SVC and draining to the right atrium directly. Femoral is the quickly performed procedure, especially in cases of emergency, where we can also do high flow ECMO, and in both sides the venous canal is there inserted. One will be in means return line, and one is the draining line that can be used. But both are like venous canals. One is draining from the body and again returning to the body, to the venous circulation. High flow ECMO is a bifemoral cannulation, especially but the bite bore cannulas they used in the both cases. But the circuit is very high, especially used in cases of severe respiratory failure, and the patient is it's usually done in emergency cases. And we know that if the patient is directly, if it's not on ventilator, but we know that patient is not able to come, like especially in cases of drowning, that we know that patient will not come back again, and whole lung is filled with the water, or it's a dense water, so patient is not able to oxygenate, or we cannot also ventilate. So in these cases we directly used high flow ECMO accessing femoral arteries. The disadvantage of the vein is that it's relatively complex and secure, and as with the jugular cannula, patient remains in the blood and the air embolism. Of course, there are high chance of air embolism if we use the jugular cannulation. Femoral jugular cannulation, that is also usually not normally done in patients with ventilators, and where the either return line is drainage line either from the femoral or return line from the jugular. And normally most frequently used the femoral line should be taken from the as a drainage line, and return line should be in the jugular. The indications, according to the extracorporeal life support organization, this either means acute severe cardiac failure or respiratory failure with the high risk of mortality, and cause would be reversible and non-responsive to the conventional therapy should be considered as a ECMO. And where the mortality is very high and the mortality risk up to 50%. Other indications that includes comes under like reversible respiratory failure, that is ARDS, severe pneumonia, severe asthma, and like near drowning, post-traumatic lung contusion, and so on. Whenever we feel like the patient can revert back and it's a reversible failure or respiratory failure, we can use as a you can use ECMO. Means inclusion criteria for hypoxic respiratory failures due to this mortality is very high even after applying ECMO. 50% goes if PO2 FiO2 ratio is less than 150 and requirement of oxygen is more than 90, or Murray score is 1 to 2. 1 to 3, sorry, 2 to 3, and mortality for 80% mortality risk associated with the if PO2 FiO2 ratio is less than 100 and oxygen required more than 90%, and Murray score is 3 to 4. So these patients have high, even high mortality even after applying ECMO. And CO2 retention, if patient is even on the high plateau pressure, there's more than 30 centimeter of water. This is Murray score we calculate, and PO2 FiO2 ratio is means if requirements is ratio is less than 100 is having highest score, that is 4, and X-ray is showing the infiltration in each quadrant, that score is increased from 1 to 4, and peak pressure is 0 if it is less than 5 and is highest if more than 15, and compliance if it is more than 80 or equals to, it is 0, if it is less than or equals to 19 is highest as 4. So the absolute contraindications, there is no as such absolute contraindications. Any patient can be put on ECMO and given trial to the patient, but it's that absolute contraindication if you know that patient is unrecoverable heart disease or lung disease, is usually not a candidate for that ECMO. So if a patient is having multi-organ dysfunction, and patient may have least probability to come back, and even prolonged CPR patient without adequate tissue perfusion is a this kind of absolute indication, but to said that there is no absolute contraindication for ECMO. The related contraindication that is anticoagulation, obesity because of poor accessibility of vein, and advanced age. When we say that there is no benefit of ECMO, complication that includes the bleeding from the insertion site, thromboembolism if patient is more prone taking already either on anticoagulation or are already having probability of getting thrombus, candidate complication that is infection and bleeding itself, and heparin-induced thrombocytopenia that because of frequent use of heparin, and a special complication is specific complication that is associated with the veno-venous and veno-arterial, like veno-venous ECMO. Specific complication is recirculation of blood, when means blood is going from the draining system and again return back to the return circuit when both canalies are together. So it's a complication of venous means ECMO. Other neurological complication that in especially occurs in especially in cases of thromboembolism, and extracorporeal membranous oxygenation can be used in patient with the post CPR. So if that means while after CPR, when patient is not able to maintain saturation, or sometimes associated with the respiratory disease. So even in post CPR, we can use as a ECMO, which allow you to return a cerebral perfusion as a easily, early, and in the most stable, so the patient do not have a neurological complication after means during CPR or after CPR. It's itself ECMO takes means cannulation takes time, so the use of ECMO in CPR is doubtful. Thank you very much.